Hi, welcome to another video. My name is Scott Bischoff, and this is the secrets to how to quit your 9 to 5. In these videos, I just share with you the experiences that my wife and I have had as we quit our corporate job and started an online business. So today, I want to talk to you about the easy way versus the hard way. Now, behind me, you see this stack of textbooks. This represents the hard way. So I went to school for about 6 years. I did 4 years for my undergraduate in engineering, and then I went and got an MBA and a master's in mechanical engineering. That was about 2.5 years. So that's 6.5 years of schooling that I went through. And guess what? My starting salary was $70,000 a year. And in 5 years working in corporate America, I was able to make just barely over $100,000. So you think about that. 6.5 years, and that's like 6.5 very dedicated years. If you were to talk to my roommates, I was always doing homework. I missed out on so many fun activities in college because of just how hard it is to become an engineer. You have to spend so much time in the lab, and the homework is just like, it's every day, and it's so many hours for just one problem. So think about this. 6.5 years, a million textbooks, and I'm going to go back, we'll look at these here in a second, to make $70,000 a year. Now let's contrast that. I just started the One Funnel Away Challenge. Here's a book. It's only, an inch and a half thick. There's 30 business plans in here of people who've made over $1 million with a funnel. Look at this, one book, $1 million, $1 million ideas. All of these textbooks, let's look. What's the difference? Here, you can see this one book. That $100,000 a year. It would take 10 years of work after you gain all this knowledge to make what you can make with the knowledge gained in a book like this. And actually, I have to bring some of the other ones here. So we have traffic secrets, expert secrets. Now, yeah, of course, it's going to be hard work when you figure out how to do online marketing. It's not going to be just a piece of cake, a walk in the park. But when you compare the amount of effort required, look at this. Here's, traffic secrets, expert secrets. And then here's 30 days with all these business plans that people say if they lost everything, how would they rebuild their businesses in 30 days? So these are people who have made 6 or 7 figures online, and they tell you exactly what they would do for 30 days to build their businesses back. So here, let's just show you some of these textbooks that I went through. And I had fun as an engineering student. There's a lot of classes that I enjoyed taking, and I love to learn. I love to know how things work. But I was doing it not because I was interested in how things work, because I wanted to make money. And I was told, oh, you could become an engineer, you're going to make good money. And you get into that role after all that hard work, and you're like, this is all that is going to, I might be lucky to make $3 million in the next 30 or 40 years. And how much of that am I going to be able to keep? And with that involves tons of commuting and working with people that I may not want to work with, spending more time at work than I would do with my family. It's just not a trade-off that I wanted. So here, let's just come over here and let's look. So we've got, this is a doozy. This was for my master's degree. So it's convective heat and mass transfer. Now let me just show you and just what is in this book. When I would do homework, my wife was just like, what are you doing? It's like a different language, which it is. This whole book is just full of equations like that. Okay, and I'm learning knowledge. It's not that useful in the marketplace. Okay, it's great. And maybe if I worked at NASA, or if I worked for one of 10 companies in the world who would need this information, yeah, great. I would make $100,000 a year for busting it to go through all this really hard stuff. So let me just, let's see. I want to just read one problem out of this book. A lubricating oil flows through a long 6-centimeter tube at a mean velocity of 6 meters per second. If the tube is effectively insulated, calculate and plot the temperature distribution resulting from frictional heating in terms of the pertinent parameters. Let the fluid properties be those of a typical engine oiled at 100 degrees Celsius. Did you lose me on that? I'm sure you did. I hope you did. There's only a handful of people in this world who would be interested in that information. See, I spent so much time going to school, learning all of this stuff. I don't know how much that weighs here, and this isn't even everything. I threw away a ton of textbooks. Okay, I had to go through all of this to make $60,000 to $70,000 a year, which is great. I mean, I'm not going to complain. I know that's more than a lot of people make in America. But look at that. I sacrificed 6.5 years. And this isn't everything. I worked hard. Like, one problem, like I just read to you, sometimes they take 10 or 12 hours just to figure out. I mean, is it really worth it? Here, let me show you something else. There were some classes that I actually really enjoyed. Let's see, do I see it? Oh, aerodynamics. Yeah, this was a good book. I became an engineer because I love knowing how things worked, and I always wanted to be a pilot. I never did. But aerodynamics was one thing that I was super interested in because I learned how things fly. But it's kind of medium on the stack. I'm not going to pull it out. But then again, it's just like learning a different language, spending so much time to become an engineer and to learn the fundamentals of, aerodynamics and physics and fluid mechanics and all that stuff. Why am I telling you this? Because there is an easy way and there is a hard way. Traditional education is great. I mean, I don't know. If I were to go back, or if I'm teaching my kids, I don't know for sure if I want them to go to college. I know there's some things that they can learn. But think about all the time that I wasted, 6.5 years, to learn this stuff to make only $70,000 a year. In the contrast, I have a friend, he was close to graduating. He dropped out of school. In the same amount of time that I was learning this and working my corporate job, he built a business, and now he doesn't ever have to work again. He's out of the business. He has enough money. He doesn't ever have to work again. So in the same amount of time that I spent going through all these textbooks, I could have been building a business that enabled me now at 35 years old to never have to work again. I think of another friend I have who's in his 20s. He just dropped out of college again. He made $400,000 last year. No college education. Now think about that. In corporate America, how much time would be required to earn $400,000? The only people I know would be a lawyer or a doctor. And think about how much schooling a doctor has to go through to make $400,000. Now, there are people in corporate America making that much money, but they had to go to college first. They had to get the worst job ever and work their way up from $40,000 a year as a frontline employee, and then work their way up to supervisor, then manager, and then 20 years after working really hard in their career, they may be making $400,000 a year. There's just no other path that I see that enables you to be able to make so much money and have an impact on the world. Those are your options. You can go to college, you can get a bunch of loans. I mean, I spent over $100,000 in learning this stuff on, in engineering. And luckily, I was able to get a job. I'm frugal. I was able to pay off my student loans. But there's so many people out there who get $100,000 in student loans. They go through as many textbooks as I do, but there's stuff that doesn't even matter in the marketplace. They're getting degrees with huge loans that they'll never repay off with the job they get from the degree they got. It just doesn't make sense. So the best thing that you can do is to focus on some core fundamentals in business that will help you make money. So here, I got these books here. These are some of the best books I've ever read on how to make money in business. And then again, there are people who read these books and they make $1 million plus in a year. Think of that. If you can make $1 million in a year, that buys back almost your entire life. Think of all the time that would be required for the average person to make $1 million. Okay, maybe that's not realistic for you. Let's say $500,000, $200,000, even $100,000 a year. What would that do for you? How much time could you buy back if you could make $100,000 a year if you're only making $40,000 a year now? Every year you make $100,000, you buy back another year of your life that would have been required to earn, that 100. So if you can make it in 1 year, but right now it's taking you 2 or 3, think of that. If you could cut that down to 1 year, you're saving 2 years of your life for that. What could you do with that time? You could work for only 10 years, make as much money as you would have in 30 or 40, and then retire at a young age. You could do whatever you wanted. So anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox here, but I mean, this is painful. Like, I just think back on all the nights that I spent doing homework. Man, I wasted a lot of time. I wasted a lot of money in the pursuit of money and security. In reality, it's not there. It's not there at all. The only way to make money and to make the money that you want is to find skills that are actually valuable in the marketplace. And what is one of the best skills? Learning how to sell. Learning how to figure out what are people's problems and how do you solve those problems at mass scale. There's just a different way to go about it than what a lot of us have been taught. So in closing, it's great that we have engineers. Not everybody can do an online business. We need people to go to school, to be happy with a 6-figure salary or less, people who want to study these books and become an expert. But if you're watching this video, it means you have something more in you. You're not just happy being a functional expert making 6 figures a year. You see that there's more to life, that there's people making a lot more money online, spending more time with their family, choosing where they work, who they work with, And so this video is for people like you. And I am so grateful for those people out there who want to just be an engineer or just to work for 30 or 40 years, because we need that. But for me, that's not the path that I want in my life. So anyway, I hope you find this useful. If you like this content, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. And I really appreciate you watching this. And let's get it done and let's change our lives. Thanks.